Hello and welcome back to this series where we look at, I share one of my favorite books and I randomly flip through it to find some type of idea or inspiration, a quote that's going to inspire us for the week. So I'm very excited about this. I've been thinking about what to call this series, and I'm thinking it's book gems. Book gems, because you have to kind of dig around in different books and discover the magic in each of them. And specifically when you have a favorite book and you just need a little inspiration for the day, so you just pick it up, turn it to any page, and bam, you find and discover what is meant for you that day. That is what I love so much. And so today I'm so excited because we're going to be talking, or I'm going to be flipping through and sharing 3 ideas from Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being. If you have not read this book, I was going to say if you're a creative in any way, but it doesn't even matter. If you are just a human being, then this book is incredible. It is one of my favorite books that I read this year, and it's just beautifully inspiring, empowering. I just love the way Rick Rubin thinks. I really enjoyed the writing style of his. And so what I did, as I always do, is I flipped through the book right before I hit the go live button, so you guys don't have to watch me flip through pages. But I just flipped through and discovered 3 ideas from the book. But I'm telling you, this book, every page, I felt like every page was just so, there's something on every page that is just going to really inspire you to create or to think about life a little bit differently. So today, the first page that I flipped through was the title of the page was "Right Before Our Eyes," and it says, "Artists occasionally experience a sense of stagnation, a block. This isn't because the flow of creativity has stopped; it can't. This generative energy is ceaseless. It may just be that we are choosing not to engage with it. Think of an artistic impasse as another type of creation, a block of our own making, a decision, conscious or unconscious, not to participate in the stream of productive energy that is available to us at all times. When we feel constricted, we might begin to create an opening through surrender. If we let go of our analytical thoughts, the flow might be able to find a path through us more easily. We can be and do rather than think and try. Create in the present rather than anticipating the future." And I love this so much because it's almost as though, you know how sometimes people say, "Oh, I have writer's block," or we feel a little bit stuck in our creative ideas. That's just not the case. We have this creative flow in us wherever we go. We just have to lean into it. We have to allow it to flow through us. And sometimes we can put on these constraints of our own. And I would think that, I mean, he even says whether it's conscious or subconscious or unconscious, we might not know that we're doing it, but when we get into that state of flow, we're in that state of just time is flying by. We don't even realize what's happening because we're in our flow state. We're in our brilliance. We're in our unique energy and what we are creating and doing. And that is the space that is always available to us. But when we halt that, when we don't allow the energy to come through us and engage in that because of those feelings of anxiety or doubt or fear or frustration or whatever it is, we're not allowing that artistic expression to flow through. And so I love that he really believes that we always have that available to us. It's always inside of us. And we just have to allow for it and tap into it. Okay, the second page that I flipped through was, let's see, it was, oh yeah. When is the work done? There is no formula or method for finding the answer. It is an intuition. The work is done when you feel it is. The work is done when you feel it is. When I talk to any of my author friends, any of my artist friends, anyone that like actually does, when we think about creative work, I mean, creativity is everywhere, right? It's in the way that we lead, it's in how we communicate, it's in the life that we're building, it's in the businesses we're building, it's everything. And it's accessible to everyone. We are all creative. We are all artists in our own life. That is what we get to do. But when I talk to my author friends or anyone that actually like creates like a piece of artwork in some way, we always talk about how you never actually feel like it's done. Like it never actually feels done. It almost feels like we want to hold on to it. But at some point, there's this moment where you're like, okay, the work is as good as I can get it right now. The work is as good as it needs to be at this moment. And I think every author that I've talked to has said at one point that they've reread one of their first books or an old book that they wrote years ago, and they think, oh my gosh, I would have rewritten that section, or I would have done this differently, or why did I not go into more detail about this? And what's so interesting about that is hindsight is 2020, right? It's easy for us to think that when we are complete, when the work is complete, especially after we've had time to revisit it and look at it, of course we see it a little bit differently. And so I thought that was a really interesting, like the work is done when we feel it is. And so at some point we have to feel like, okay, the work is done and I'm going to put out into the world, knowing that you're going to get better, knowing that by putting your work out into the world, you're going to be able to get feedback data and then be able to move a little bit forward in the next piece of work, the next thing that you create, the next idea that you have. And so I love that idea of it's done when you feel it is. That's it. That's art. That's creating. It's almost like even when, you know, how some people feel like they want to leave a role that they're in because their work is done. They feel that they've done everything they can in the role that they're in. And now it's time to go find another role, to do another, to find another mission, to belong to a different team or to create their own team. And that is what's so beautiful about the creation process, is that we're constantly in a phase of transition and creation. All right. And the last little gem that I have here for you, it says, oh, okay. So in this section, he's talking all about patience. Could you use a little more patience? So I run a coaching company, and we have a dream manager program. And in one of the sections of one of the months that we focus on your virtue and what is one of the virtues that you really want to work on. And uh, it feels like 90% of the time our clients will say that they want to work on patience, the virtue of patience. Oh, because we all want things to happen now, right? So in this section, he's talking all about patience. So it says, patience is developed much like awareness through an acceptance of what it is. Impatience is an argument with reality. I love that. Impatience is an argument with reality. The desire for something to be different from what we are expecting in the here and now, a wish for time to speed up, tomorrow to come sooner, and relive yesterday, or to close your eyes and open them and find yourself in another place. Time is something that we have no control over. So patience begins with acceptance of natural rhythms. The implied benefit of impatience is to save time by speeding up and skipping ahead to those rhythms. Paradoxically, this ends up taking more time and using more energy. It's wasted effort. So this I love too, because we think about, oh, how often have you thought, I wish that X, I wish that I had this in my life, or I was in a different phase, or I wish that this period was over and I was and I had gotten through it, instead of being able to sit with it, instead of being able to sit in the messy middle of whatever it is that we're doing and creating, the place, the space that we get to be. I often talk about when I wrote my book, Do What You Love, there was a time when I was feeling so frustrated and I just wanted to be finished with it. I wanted it to be complete and done, and I wanted to be able to share it with the world. And I was talking to my writing coach, and she could feel my frustration. And she said, Kate, you're in the messy middle. Like, that's where you are now. And so I had to be patient. I had to be patient and know that only by sitting in the messy middle and allowing myself to do the work that I know that only I can do, would it allow myself to then get through it, get to the other side. And while I was getting to the other side, not taking any shortcuts, having to do the work, and only by having to do the work did I then gain all of the skills and knowledge that I needed to write my next book, to become a better leader, to become a better version of myself, to learn and grow in ways that I never knew before I had started this particular project. And that is what we get to do in every single creative endeavor that we pursue in our lives. All those creative pursuits, we get to have more and more patience in the work that we're doing. And then we get to know when it's complete and if we're going to share it and what we're going to do with it. So this book is incredible. Like I said, you could flip through any page and find some inspiration that you need. So I hope that you found some inspiration in these words and in this book. And I highly recommend checking out Rick Rubin's The Creative Act, A Way of Being. So, so good. Thank you so much for watching this series. We'll see if I stick with the title of Book Gems. Talk about creating, right? We created this series. Not even sure what to call it, but we're just playing around with names. But I kind of like this, Book Gems, and being able to kind of navigate through different books to find those golden pieces of inspiration that really help us with our own journey in life. So I appreciate you so much. Hey, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Would love for you to continue on with this series. If there's a book that you really love that you want me to flip through and find some inspiration, then let me know. I know everyone, we all love a good book recommendation, right? Especially, well, if you're a reader, you love a good book recommendation to add to your list. So share those in the comments. All right, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, go create something.